All right, guys. I'm not sure how you got here, but what I want to do is I want to share with you what I've been working on. This is going to basically, in a nutshell, give you a bird's eye view of everything that you need to know when it comes to marketing your business and creating a strategy. I'm just going to pull the curtain and let you see what's behind it so you can understand where marketing is going in the chiropractic world and probably in other industries as well. So this is the micro marketing strategy workshop where I just want to show you everything that I know, get it all in one place, and then you can work with it. You can use this to build your marketing platform, your system, or you can reach out and we can see if we can assist you. But not gonna go more into that. Let's just get into this. So first things first. I had a call the other day with a friend of mine who's a chiropractor, and he is struggling with his marketing. And the first thing that he said that just stuck out, and I was taking notes on just letting him talk, letting him get it all out there. That's what I like to do, is just see what people are doing, see what people have tried. And one of the things that he said that really just struck me was, the biggest problem is that I'm not proud of the marketing content that the marketing agency is putting out. So first things first is, are you proud of your marketing? Are you proud of the campaign? Are you proud of the content? Are you proud of the strategy? Or if it's still an image that's put out on Canva, and I guess I should back up and I should say, when you think about this from the standpoint of what you're trying to do, if what you're trying to do is to get people to come in, then you can hang any shiny object out there to get that to happen. Some are more effective than others, but if that's your objective, then okay, that's fair enough that you could be proud of that. But what he was talking about was, I'm not proud of the content because it doesn't reflect our brand. It doesn't reflect who we are. It just is that shiny object. And then months down the road, that shiny object is gone and we have to put another shiny object out there. So if that's your marketing message, are you proud of that? And then we got into talking about and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, about my prediction with marketing is where it's going, is that it needs to be something that resonates with you. It needs to be something that you're proud of. It needs to be something that it shows who you are and what you do. Not someone down the street, because everybody can create a fancy image, but that doesn't reflect who you are. So when you think about that, are you proud of your marketing? When you think about the things that you're trying right now, the things that you've tried in the past, are you proud of that? And just really ask yourself that, and be honest with yourself. When I thought about this, I thought about myself. And when I started doing my own marketing, I thought, we all have to start somewhere. We all have to, take the initiative and say, all right, here's what I know to do. And this is just a thumbnail of me on my very first video explaining to a camera who I am and what I do. Now I look back at that and I'm proud of the message. I'm a little bit embarrassed by the way I did it because I've learned a lot since then. But when I look back at this, I can say, I'm proud of that. Although, again, it's a little like the lighting is bad. I'm too far away from the camera. There's a lot of excessive hand motion. There's lots of things I can pick apart. So when I say proud, I'm not talking about nitpicking myself. I'm just saying, like, are you proud of it? So if I were to go back farther into the past, It would have been a Canva image that I didn't even create. Someone created it for me. I didn't even know what it looked like. And then, you know, you guys know. So are you proud of it? So again, you can use excuses. I don't want to hear your excuses. I've been there. I've done it. I've used it all, just like you guys, the shiny object. But some people will say, well, Dustin, I don't like getting on video. That's okay. You know, I understand. It's not easy, but there are ways to overcome that. So if that's something you're interested in, I didn't like it at first, but now I've fallen in love with it. So the second thing I want to talk about is I want you to take, just for the time that you're here, is just take 80% of what you know about marketing. I'm not going to ask you to throw everything out the door, but take 80% of what you know about your marketing, your business, and I just want you to throw it out the window right now, and then just be here and listen and watch and see if there's something that you can pick up. Because if you're 100% convinced that the way you do things is correct, I don't even think you should be watching this video. So take 80% and just chunk it out. Like the 20% that's important, because, you know, leave that there, but just make room for some new ideas. And maybe this isn't new to you at all, but let's see if you can make some room for some new material. Just the way I market my business, my practice is actually two of them, is in my opinion, when I talk to other people, and what I've found over the years is that it's the complete opposite of what most chiropractors are doing. Because number one, they're getting terrible advice from their agency. Their agency is telling them, let's put out this image and let's see how it attracts, and then let's put out another one after it ages. And that's just what they do, and it's just cookie cutter stuff. So the average chiropractor who markets their practice on social media spends over $50,000 a year, and half of that is going to retainer fees to the marketing agency. So what we're doing as an industry, as chiropractic industry, is we're making the marketing agencies rich. And then, you know, I know that there's probably some really good people in these agencies, but like, do they really care about you? I know I asked one of my marketing, back when I had a marketing agency, I asked one of my account managers how many accounts she represented, and she said 50. So if you're managing 50 accounts, you can't deliver a product that's going to be great. So anyways, that's my opinion. So here's why these agencies are, you know, not doing what they're supposed to do, because we know this is stuff that you know. Most of these agencies use weak or mediocre content that is attracting as many leads as possible. That's their goal. I've had this conversation with so many agencies in the past that I almost got angry, but then I realized they're just doing the best that they can. And so, like, if their goal is leads, but your goal is butts and seats in your office, in your reception area, to fill out paperwork and to have a day one, then we're already not on the same page. A marketing agency's goal is to drive leads, and all we care about as the doctor is butts and seats, people walking through the doors. So when you get a lot of leads, you get a lot of no-shows. When you get a lot of ideal patients that are attracted to you, that's when they show up. So that's going to be the difference. You know, my job, what I do, what I care about is I create videos to nurture my expertise to the cold people who have no idea who I am or what I do, to the warm people who've, you know, had some exposure to my videos or to me, or maybe their friend or family member comes in. And then the hot leads. The hot leads are just the people, maybe they've been to the office before, maybe they do have a friend that's been, maybe they've watched every video that I've put out, so they know me. I don't know them, but they know me, so I would call that person hot. So if we create an environment a funnel, if you will. I hate using that word, but that's just the best word to use it, because that's exactly what it is. If we create a funnel that exposes all these different types of people to who you are and what you do, it's going to attract the ideal people to you. And at the same time, the most beautiful part about this to me is it's going to attract the ideal people, but at the same time repel those tire kickers. So again, most chiropractors use agencies to get people in the door, and then they struggle converting them into care. And a lot of time that's not what it used to be 10 years ago. Is I even helped coach day 1 and day 2 and how to convert people into care. It was like a seminar based coaching program, and I even wrote a book on the topic. You can check it out. It's called Adjusting Your Persuasion. It's on Amazon if you want to go check it out. I wrote a book on the topic, and I'm not saying that just to generate sales. I'm trying to tell you that our industry has changed. A lot of chiropractors don't struggle with conversions as much as they used to, or harp on that. Now the whole focus is, how do I get people to walk in my door? And that's good, but it could be bad, because if your conversions are low, it could mean one of two things. Number one, it could be you're not good at converting. And I think that's where a lot of doctors take that responsibility. But when you have a poor lead, that's going to dramatically reduce your ability to convert. So when you're attracting people to you that don't care about their health, that just want something cheap, fast, and easy, they're not going to be able to convert. So your conversions are going to go down. So I'm saying that from the standpoint, I'm giving you an excuse. You definitely need to work on your day 1, day 2. You can check out my book. There's a million different ways that you can, or resources that you can look into to increase your conversion rate. But one thing that I know for sure is that this is one that plagues our industry so much, is that there's just a poor quality of lead that comes in the door. So anyways, the reason why that's happening is because we're all, as chiropractors, I'm not anymore, but we're all competing with everyone's low ticket offer. And that's tough, because it's based on price, and it's based on your offer, and everybody's going to go with a path of least resistance. So it's going to be the cheapest one typically to start. So anyways, that's another topic. So let's talk about when you approach marketing my way, the way that I've done things in the recent past, the last year and a half to 2 years. When you approach marketing my way, you're going to get better quality leads. You're going to reduce your workload. So imagine having less leads walk in the door. And I say leads, when I say leads, I mean in a negative sense. When I say ideal patients, that's going to be a positive, because you're going to know almost immediately. A lot of times the front desk knows, as they're filling out their paperwork, as they meet them, is this going to be, they can judge the book by the front cover almost, because that's how numb we've gotten to this whole situation that social media has done to drive people in. So when you approach my marketing strategy, you're going to get better quality leads. You're going to reduce your workload, because you're not going to have to waste your time or your team's time on people who just aren't quite fitting into your office's culture and what you do and who you are. So you're going to get better outcomes, because you want to drive people in the door who actually want you and need you. And at the same time, when you have somebody that needs you and wants you and is going to be a good fit for your office, you're going to be able to make more money, because you're going to spend more time converting and less time filtering. So less time obviously makes less time wasted, means you're going to make more money. And not only that, you can raise your prices when you get better outcomes. People are going to know you, they're going to refer to you. So what I've done is I've come up with this, what I call my docere model. And I should explain this if this is new to you. The word doctor originates from the Latin, the word docere, and that means to teach. So what I've done is I've decided that the model, when it comes to the way I do things versus the way traditional marketing agencies do things is, as a doctor, my job is to teach people. And if your marketing doesn't teach somebody something, then what are they going to get out of it when they get there? Now, so I look at that as a personal thing, if that's something that resonates with you. But the reason why that works is because think of this as like the top of the funnel, and this is the bottom of the funnel. So if we could stand this part up, what we're looking at is sideways, and that's just the way it lays out best when I created this. Is the top of the funnel is for cold traffic, and we're going to use organic or paid traffic. We're going to get other people's platforms. We're going to get word of mouth, and we're going to drive these people into the top of the funnel. And then in the middle of the funnel is when we're going to have things like email follow-up. We're going to have YouTube videos. We're going to have those teaching moments are going to be in here. These are going to be the shiny objects, our shorter videos, the things that we can try to resonate with somebody who may or may not know what we do and how we do it. This is going to be a little bit more telling, and then we're going to drive people into, what we do and how we do it, get them for the day 1, day 2, basically get them scheduled. So we're going to come back to this in just a minute. But the video content or the YouTube content at the top of the funnel, it's not all YouTube. It can be on Facebook. It can be on Instagram. And this is where we need to, like if we had to say in college we had to minor in something and major in something, I want you to think of this middle of the funnel is where we're going to major. This is where we're going to make things happen. Our minor needs to be at the top of the funnel. These are the things that we need to do a little less often, but we need to also know about how to do these things. So that minor generates leads, but the middle of the funnel is going to nurture them and drive them toward the bottom of the funnel, which is actually where you do make your money. So again, this is where you get their attention right here. And then we drive them into our major content, which is going to, it's not capturing attention. We already have it. It's going to show them who we are, what we're about, resonate with them, build rapport, and then we want that to drive them to a call to action to where they come in for a day 1, day 2. So if you watch any like shows like Ozark or things like that, you're going to know that there's a term called money laundering, to where we're like putting things in and getting things out. When it comes out on the other side, it's clean. So when you think about that from the standpoint of money laundering, if we could call this social laundering, where we put people in here, get people to here, and then we get people out here. By the time we get them here, we've used this as a filter to get people to come out on the other side clean. So we look at this as kind of like anything comes in, some of the stuff is filtered out, and then we get our major filter here. So when I use this term social laundering, it's like social media laundering, people laundering. I don't know what you want to call it. That's just the best idea I could come up with. So again, social media traffic, video content, follow up, and then we close them into care. And along the way, there's going to be some filtering. So when I start talking about filtering, sometimes people get angry with me because they say, chiropractic is for everyone. And I get that. It is for everyone. But there is a capacity for what a lot of your offices can do. I'm the sole doctor in one of my offices, and I have another doctor in the other one. There's so much I can do, and there's so much she can do. And sometimes we have to choose what we can do and who we can work with, because we want to only really, at some point, only work with people who we want to work with and want to work with us. So again, we launder that traffic, that social traffic, through video content to drive up consumption time. So imagine here that our job in the middle of the funnel, there we go. And this part right here is to drive up consumption, meaning like let them get to know us, who we are and what we do. And by nature, that's going to basically get them to build rapport, push them towards the offer that we have, and eventually get them to come in for the day 1, day 2, so we can convert them into care. So I've personally never seen, when I looked at this from a bird's eye view, I've never seen anything that makes closing, and I don't even like that word, enrolling people into care at the rate of $3,000 to $7,000 care plans. I don't know if I've ever seen something that's so simple. When someone comes and I know for a fact, because we ask, what was it that made you want to do this or whatever, and they say, I saw this video and I saw that video. What else did you notice? And they tell me what they saw and what they know. This makes your job easier. You just almost sit back and let them explain to you why they want your care, and then eventually your job is to diagnose, basically, examine, whatever you want to call it, come up with a care plan, and then show them the number, and then let them decide if that's what they want to do. If you want to get a little bit more technical, you can. Again, I wrote a book on it, so I understand the technique and the psychology behind sales. I understand that more than most people. But to make it simple on you, if you could skip 7 out of the 10 steps because people want your care, imagine how easy that gets. So a lot of my newer content doesn't really even need a formal offer anymore because there's so much trust that's built up. People want to go, oh my gosh, after that video, they want to go, okay, what is his number? What's his name? Let me look him up. Now, I do put stuff out there, don't get me wrong, but my newer content doesn't feel like I have to be so adamant about creating an offer so much and pushing people toward an offer, because that middle of the funnel content is going to, they already know me, they already know where I am, they've already done that. So it's just another touch. So anyway, so social media, so think of it this way: social media, then we got the YouTube or the video content, then we have the follow-up chat sequences that follow up with people, and then we drive them into the office for a day 1 and a day 2, and then we start care. So it's really basic. I mean, that's pretty easy to understand. But what I want to cover before I get too far into this is the mindset. The mindset behind this funnel, the mindset behind marketing in general. Because remember, I said throw away 80% of what you know just for a little bit, and then you can decide what's right for you after you add this in, or just disregard it completely, whatever you decide. Marketing mindset, your marketing mindset needs to be raw. It needs to be you. It needs to be so authentic, obviously. It needs to be transparent. People are getting numb to things that they're like, oh gosh, this is clickbait, or this is something that I know the Jack in the Box kind of thing is happening. And then once the Jack in the Box, it pops out, it's like, oh, there it is. I knew this was going to happen. So people are appreciating transparency a lot more. So, I'm going to be very transparent right now. This is me. I'm in my living room. This is who I am. My transparency is like, look, I have free things like this, paid things like this. And the more you like them, the more I have to offer on the backside to where you can pay me more money for that. And I'm okay with that. So I'm okay with you knowing that. And I hope you are appreciative that I say that out loud. So the other thing is, you need to have something that's unique to you. Every office does things in their own way. So you have to decide what that is and how you are unique. And it needs to be polarizing. Polarizing not for the sake of being polarizing. There are some people who just want to be different, and they want to be different so bad, but a lot of people are polarizing because they can't find a way to be different. So they do that in their personality, and that's okay. But for the sake of just being polarizing, we need to be polarizing because of what we believe, is my opinion. If you know me at all, really, really loving this whole idea and have been studying it for 20 plus years. I'm a son of a chiropractor. 2 uncles are chiropractors, 2 brothers are chiropractors. So vaccines are a big issue with me. If you want to talk about vaccines, I'm very polarizing when it comes to the topic of vaccines, poisons and toxins in food. I'm very polarizing when it comes to that topic because I believe that everybody has the right to know what they're putting in their body and not being sold a lie. So those types of things I won't hold back, because that's who I am and it's what I believe. But when I put on here, your mindset needs to be polarizing. It needs to be polarizing because of something that you believe in, because of something that you're standing up for. It also needs to be inspiring at the same time. Polarizing on its own can mean it can shut people down, but it needs to be inspiring. So if you turn somebody off to something, like if I turn somebody off to, say, vaccines or some sort of food that people are eating and consuming and it's making them sick, I should inspire them with an alternative, something else that they can do. I shouldn't just judge them by the decisions that they've made. I should just wake them up to understanding that this is bad and there's something else out there that they could do instead. So that's one mindset or way to think about your marketing. So when you put a marketing message out there, it needs to be raw. And what I mean by raw is it shouldn't look like a commercial. It shouldn't look like a traditional ad. It should just be you on the video, in my opinion. And this is up to you how you do it. It should be raw. It should be you. It should be transparent. There should be room for people to ask questions on the commentary below the video. It should be unique. It should be polarizing and inspiring. And at the same time, you should not be afraid to monetize your knowledge and your expertise. I'm trying to give you permission right now to say you have the ability and you have the right to make money. You have bills to pay. I have bills to pay. I have a lifestyle that I want to support, and so do you. And so you should not ever be afraid to monetize, because a lot of people say, well, I just don't want to talk about money. I don't want to make them think that I want to sell them something. That is what you do. You have a business. If you're afraid of monetizing that, then you need to reevaluate your whole mindset on your business as a whole, not just when it comes to marketing, because marketing is what drives people in, so you can make that sell. So if you're afraid of monetizing your knowledge and your expertise, you really need a phone call that talks about that, and not anything that needs to be sold to you. It just needs to be, you need to have a mindset makeover. So enough about that. Video content, let's talk about that. YouTube and video. I want you to look at this way. And again, forget about the 80% of what you know. Video content, YouTube, however you decide to do that, just strictly on social media like Facebook and Instagram or YouTube, is a freaking long-term play to reduce the friction, to create and find a way to make your marketing fun. And I say freaking long-term because if I just say long-term, it doesn't do it justice. When I say freaking long-term, I'm talking about your entire career as you know it, until things change. And if things change and video content is no longer necessary to drive people into your business, then we're talking about maybe making a shift then. But for the foreseeable future, it is the long-term play to reduce friction. What I mean by that is sales resistance. People are resistant to things that are being offered to them because most of the things out there don't have anything to do with what they want. And if they do, they're skeptical. So your video content, the amount that you put out there, its quality and its quantity is the long-term play to reduce the friction, to create and find a way to make it fun. So I try to have fun when I'm making my content, because if I hate it or if I don't enjoy it because it's something I have to do, then people are going to see that. But if it's something that I enjoy doing and I just embrace it, and I know that it's my long-term play to teach people, that docere part, to teach people about chiropractic, who I am and what I do, then I'm going to embrace it. So that's what I want you to understand. Then I want you to realize that the views and the shares and the leads, that does not equate to money. Okay, that means that your content was popular, which is good, but hopefully that's the top of the funnel, because If the middle of the funnel is generating shares and views and it doesn't lead to money, that's scary, because you want your top of the funnel maybe to get shared around, but you also want it to generate people pushing into the middle of the funnel. And then the middle of the funnel is going to push people to the bottom of the funnel. So remember, always remember that you are a business owner. You are not a YouTuber. That is something I really want to drive home. Your job is not to act like a YouTuber and be busy and, annoying. Your job is to awaken believers into what you do and who you are. So, again, it's there to support YouTube, and all these other things are there to support your social media marketing, is accelerate the relationships and create leverage. That's what your content and your mindset should be. But it doesn't have to be like this job that you have, where you're cutting out hours of adjusting or seeing patients or doing your reports findings. That's not what we're talking about. So it doesn't need to look pretty. Again, like I said earlier, it doesn't have to be pretty. It needs to be raw, and it needs to be authentic. So transparent, again, is the goal. We want people to not look at you with skepticism. And you can flat out say that, look, I know you're probably skeptical. I would be too if I saw this for the first time. So let me explain that. And then you can just like literally say stuff like that in your videos. Transparency is your goal. So I like to think of my marketing as if it were a time capsule. So when you think about that, like when I showed you the video, or the thumbnail of the video that I made way back when, think about this as like you could go back and you could say, wow, look where I started, look where I finished. One of these days in 3 years, 5 years, whatever it is, you can go back and you can just watch all these videos and see what's happened. No different than you probably do in your pictures in your phone. So the mindset here that I want to leave is, I'll create content because I have a message to share, not just because or only because it's the best thing for the algorithm or for my SEO. You want to create content because you genuinely have something to offer. You genuinely have something that you think is missing in your community. You have this gift that you can give your community, and that is your marketing message. So when we start getting to SEO and the algorithm and what it does, we definitely need to understand a little bit about that. But when we focus on this first part, it doesn't matter what the second part is with the content or with the algorithm and the SEO. I mean, it's going to get shared. So focus there. That way it's not overwhelming to you. That's really what I wanted to say about that. So the next topic I want to talk about just briefly is what I call styles and sets. So try to become known for 2, maybe 3 sets at most, and styles of content, like a TV show. Okay, so I'm gonna say this: if like you see most of my videos, I'm sitting in this blue chair. Do I have a hoodie on? Is it this relaxed? No. Sometimes I'm wearing a scrub top, or I'm wearing something like something with my practice's logo on it. Sometimes I have a hat on and I'm just being who I am outside of work, but I'm in this blue chair. Think about it from the standpoint of watching a TV show. You want to call it Friends. I personally think Cheers is one of the best examples of this. Cheers, 99% of that show was shot in a bar. One scene, everybody knew exactly where people were. 90% of the time, if not more, Norm was sitting in his same chair. So styles and sets are important to people because they feel like they get to know you and they know your environment. So my golden retriever, Rosie, I'm putting her in some of my videos because that's who I am. That's what I love. I mean, I do have a wife and I have 3 kids. I don't feel comfortable putting them on social media though. I will. There's probably some pictures in the background on the shelves up here that have pictures, and people can just like let that soak into their brain that I'm a family person. But when it comes to my business content, I just want to let people know who I am. And that's what you should do, is you should become known for having maybe 1, 2, or 3 sets or styles of content. That way, when you are creating, number one, you're comfortable in your geography, and so are they. You draw people in. So don't always think that you got to be walking down the road, or you got to be outside, or you've got to be in the mountains, or you have to be in some cool place to generate your content. You just need to be comfortable where you are, and you need to make your visitor, your listener, your viewer comfortable in your area as well. Again, I got out of the office. I used to create the content there a lot. It was annoying because I had to set up everything every time, but now I can just sit here with my laptop. Sometimes I'll throw up my ring light and I've got my phone, and that's really all I need. So that's just what I would recommend. That way it takes the resistance away. And again, my whole goal here to let you know is that if you can do this with styles and sets, if you can just come 1 or 2 or 3, imagine like a lot of people that I bring on as clients for marketing, one of the biggest hurdles that they have is, I don't have the time to do marketing. I don't have the time to create content. But when you create less friction into going into creating content, then you've got the place. You know exactly where you're going to go. You're going to go sit in that blue chair, or you're going to go stand by that one prop, or whatever it is, or it doesn't matter. If you can feel comfortable going to a place and just turning things on instead of setting things up and taking an hour to think about what you're going to say, I can literally create content within 5 minutes of getting ready to do it. Deciding and doing, that's what I do. So the frequency, let's talk about that. The frequency of creating content for me, and this is just me, because I've tried other things. I've tried creating, I got ambitious and tried to do one a month at the very first, and that was when I was with a different marketing agency, or one of my last marketing agencies. I even tried to get ambitious and do 1 per day, and I literally thought that was going to kill me, because I'm one of those people that when I say something, I stick to it. So that's not smart. But my sweet spot is this top part right here, where if I can do 2 to 3 a week, that's my goal. Okay. And then like whatever that is for you, if it's 1 a week or if it's 1 every other week, I don't want you to fret or get disappointed in yourself if you miss 1 here or there, because consistency is the key. You aren't optimizing for the algorithm. You're optimizing for your consistency. That way you can get your authenticity out. You can't tell everybody, if you've been in practice like me for 18 years, you can't tell everybody in 1 piece of content what you know and how you do things. It just is, it's impossible. It's not a video that anybody would want to watch. So you need to create some sort of consistency with video content. And that can sound scary again, but imagine this before I leave this topic, because I don't want to leave you thinking that there's a hurdle when it comes to your set and your frequency. These topics that I'm explaining should reduce the friction of you wanting to create content. So imagine that if you had your script prepared and you loaded it into your phone, and it had basically you could read it off of a teleprompter app on your phone, and then you could do 1 or 2 or 3 takes on a 2 to 3 minute video. You're literally sitting in that blue chair for 15 minutes, and then you're done. And maybe a 2 to 3 minute, maybe 5 minute editing process. Basically what I'm trying to say is you've got a piece of content done in less than 30 minutes. So that's how 30 minutes, 2 or 3 times a week, 30 minutes once or once every other week. It's not very hard. What you need to know is that there are ways where you can just walk in and turn yourself on and then 30 minutes later turn yourself off and go about and live your life. So anyways, that is possible. That's what I teach. It's not rocket science. Anyone can do it. The core goals of marketing that I want to share with you, again, take those 80% of what you know, throw it out the window, is to create a real and deep connection with your audience to pre-sell 2 things. The only 2 things that you need to sell, and if you're scared of selling and monetizing, which you shouldn't be, is 2 things that are easy to sell and should be easy to sell. Is number 1 is who you are, and number 2 is what you do. Okay, and I want to talk about this because this is where confidence comes in. If you have confidence issues, then you need to talk to me. You need to talk to someone about your confidence issues, because if you're not confident in who you are, then you don't need to do video content. You need to get somebody else to do it for you, or maybe you just need to work for somebody else. I don't know what you need to do, but like for the person who doesn't have a problem with this, I want to speak to that. You only have to pre-sell 2 things: who you are and what you do. And when it comes to what you do not get so techie into the features of how things work, and if you do this, then we use this setting and blah blah blah. It's the benefits of what you do, what they get because of your relationship with them. So that's the core goals. Your job as a marketer, and I say as a marketer, I even hate that. I'm basically a content creator, or as a person who wants to share your business with your community. So if you hate the word marketer like me, if you want someone who wants to share that, you're going to want to let your audience into your life. You want to teach your expertise in a raw, non-flashy, unfiltered way, meaning like it just needs to be you and who you are and what you do, and it's going to be raw. You're going to share insights. You're going to share lessons that you've learned. You're going to share wisdom that you've gained, not only when you were in school. I know you probably believe that most of your wisdom you've gained since you graduated. Then you're going to promote your offers consistently. You have to promote, this is what we're doing to get you, this is how easy we're making it for you to come in. Now that you know this, now that you want what we have to offer, here's how easy it is to take that first step and get in here. So the offer, whether it's $49, $99, if it's $2, who cares? The resistance needs to be lowered, and then the step into your office needs to be simple, and it needs to be promoted consistently. So your core goals, your core goals need to capture your energy. They need to add leverage. And what is leverage? Leverage is basically making using your expertise to get them to move, to take action, or to create interest. And interest turns into curiosity, and curiosity turns into them wanting to come in the door. So how does that happen? Through answering questions, through sharing solutions, through sell or supplement your sales process of like what that looks like. Get them familiar with what the process is. And then you're going to be able to launder that social traffic into accelerating the relationship that you want to have eventually with this person. So that's that. So now we're actually digging into the bigger part of this. Step 1 is the ideas and types of videos. The big lesson here is you don't have to jump back and forth from business owner to content creator. Again, I don't view myself as a content creator, and I don't think you should either. I'm running a business and living my life. That's my content. So if that doesn't give you enough content, you're going to need to do more in your business and do more in your life and make it more enjoyable. So what do I mean by that? You should be able to live your life every day just by how you live your life and who you are. You should be able to create 3, maybe 5 pieces of content ideas that you could jot down per day of what you could do. I could show you an example of that. Here's lists that I've made. So this is the middle of my funnel. These are ideas that I come up with. So this is the top of the funnel list of things that I've made that I haven't done yet. So I'm always creating some sort of content that I want to talk about eventually. There's the flu vaccine thing that I just did. So anyways, that's my content. If it doesn't, again, if your life doesn't give you enough content, if what you are or what you do and who you are doesn't help you create content, number one, you're not paying attention enough to what you're doing and the lessons that life is trying to teach you. As a result, you need to live your life at a higher level if you're not getting that out of your life. So I'm not trying to be ugly, but who you are and what you do should be found. Just the life you live, the values you have. If you get to the end of your day, again, and you don't have 3 to 5 pieces of new content ideas, you're not doing enough, or you're not paying enough attention. So while most of the people that I talk to are trying to create this perfect post or this perfect video, I've written and recorded 3. I have one client that started with me several months ago and hasn't put out a single piece of content yet because he's afraid that it's not going to be perfect. And so I'm like, okay, should we even continue this relationship? I mean, he's already paid and has all of his funnels in place and he's doing well, but we don't have the video content. We're using just subpar stuff that he's used in the past. And I'm like, look, this is not who I am, but like, there are some people who fret over this stuff, and it's just not healthy to fret over it. Because like I said, I can a lot of times put out 3 pieces of content and someone has still not decided to hit go on their first one. So if someone in your circle of influence, whether in that funnel, we're going to call it top or middle of the funnel, if someone is sold on who you are and what you do, think about this from their standpoint. What is the next natural step for them to take? They're going to be thinking, well, how do we work together? How do I get more of what you have to offer? And that's where, I want you to realize is that when you create small doses of content, you don't ever have to come up with, I don't personally ever have to come up with content ideas, ever. I don't go find my blue chair in my computer and think, okay, what am I going to talk about today? I do that by living my life and paying attention. And when I have a solid idea, when I'm adjusting someone or they're telling me about the benefits of the care that they're receiving, simply just carry around your phone or carry a pen and a piece of paper on a sticky note. And then once you get time, you put all those ideas together and you have lists. And then when you have a list, you have to knock off one by one piece of content. So this alone, just this section right here that I've talked about, this step right here, ideas and types of videos, this can right here change your life. But you have to share. You have to share it with people. So an example of this, one of the things that I'm going to do, a video that I'm about to make, is how I deal with slumps in my marketing campaigns. One of the videos I just put out, I already did this one right here, the second one, how I made 41K in 3 days. Again, your business fuels your content. So again, this isn't something I put out for patients. This is for people like you, chiropractors who want to learn how to do what I do. This is pieces of content that's driving not just the patient funnel, this is the client funnel that I have. So I have to think about this twice as much as you do because I have patients and I have clients for marketing. So again, your business fuels your content. When I talk to clients, when they tell me about their wins, I have to write those things down. Just like I opened this video up talking about my friend who said, I'm not proud of my marketing. And I asked you the question, are you proud of your marketing? So indirectly pitch your products, indirectly share what your product is. And I call this, think of it like this, a Trojan horse call to action. So if I said something like, look, Sally just re-signed for her second care plan, message me for more details. If I told you that Sally was, let's say Sally was on her fifth care plan and she just re-signed, message me for details. Or Sally has just re-signed for her 15th care plan, message me for details. Wherever that is, like wherever you are, like the second care plan, some people have struggle with just getting that re-sign into care. Like they've gone through a corrective phase and now they want to go into wellness care. If you're struggling with re-signs, a second care plan might interest you. But like if I said, Sally just re-signed for her 7th care plan, message me for more details. If I said that to you and that resonated with you because you're not getting the re-signs that you wanted to, that's what I call a Trojan horse call to action. Meaning like I put it out there, something that just happened in my office, and I'm going to allow that to filter into you, into your mind, and that's going to be what's going to drive the call to action. I can do the same thing with patients, and we can go over those Trojan horse call to actions with them. But those are really simple to do because we understand the things that people suffer with, the symptoms, the pathologies, if you want to call it that. But the truth is this, is, again, like I've already said, I rarely ever need to come up with ideas, or I would say never, but I hate using absolutes like that. So I say rarely ever need to come up with ideas because there's more than enough happening in my life, in my business already. But here's some angles to think about. Life events. I should change this because it's bothering me already. Life events, business milestones, busting limiting beliefs or false assumptions. If you need to do that, get people to think differently. I call these thought reversals. Gary Vee, if you follow him, he's built his entire empire of coaching, whatever you want to call it, whatever he does is thought reversals. If you're thinking this, change the perspective. It could be this. So shift people's beliefs, share insights, client results, plus how they did it. You know, a lot of people, like if you said Sally overcame her headaches of 10 years in just 2 months, and now she used to get one 5 days a week. Now she gets one every 2 months. That's awesome. But how did they do it? You don't need to give all the details, but you need to give something to create some curiosity. What your results were, how you did it. So like if there's something you tried, again, like mine, like I said, how I generated $41,000 in revenue in 3 days. How I did it is very simple. It's just by what I'm trying to teach you right now. That's why I created this video, because it was too much to talk about almost. Overcoming a challenge and a new perspective, hindsight, wisdom, and insight. So if there's a challenge that somebody overcame that's just not the norm, and there's a lot of people out there that may be suffering, you may need to share that in the new perspective of how people can get that same benefit. So talk about cool stuff you've done, awards, mentors you have, lessons that you've learned, just whatever mistakes that you've made. That's one of the list that you can see up here is I keep making the same mistake and it's cost me tens of thousands of dollars. So I'm calling myself out. That's one of the ones that I'm about to do. That's a video piece of content that I want to make, because I don't want to come across as that I'm perfect. You shouldn't either, because that's where people are going to start like pulling up their guard. They're going to think, okay, this person's perfect, and that repels them from you instead of attracts them to you. So if you can be more human and less perfect, they're going to be attracted to you. So I can talk about the mistakes that I've made, and everything that I'm talking about here on this document is mistakes that I've made and have learned from. So I can just be transparent and tell you that. I hired and fired 8 agencies in 6 years. So I've learned a lot about myself. I've made a lot of mistakes, and it's cost a lot of money to get where I am here and to create this document for you, to share it with you. So your unique model for success and pieces of your model, give them pieces of your model of how you do things, but don't, again, make it cookie cutter. Don't make it to where you're giving out the entire process, because people need to be curious. And if you give them everything, they're not curious anymore. They know everything. So you can run experiments. You can do campaigns. For example, like a headache campaign would be, hey, I'm looking, I'm doing an experiment, and I'm running this campaign for the next 2 months, the first quarter of the year, or 3 months. I want to get as many people in here with headaches as possible, and we're driving down the cost to get started in care, because I want to show our community how effective chiropractic can be with headaches or migraines. That's an experiment that you could do with your community, and they could love you for it, because you want to authentically drive down the suffering that you're seeing. So that's just an example. Run with those ideas. Predictions. Okay, this is what I would recommend is that, from the standpoint of being a practitioner, you can predict where healthcare is going. We're about to have what I think is probably going to be one of the biggest healthcare resets in our lifetime, because of the Make America Healthy Again movement. That's another thing that I'm very passionate about. It's another thing I'm very polarizing about. So I have a prediction that things are about to change. You can't always believe things that politicians say to get elected, but I truly believe, because of who RFK is going to be basically unleashed onto healthcare, I think things are going to change, and I hope that's right, but I can make predictions based on that. And if I'm right, it makes me look more credible. So same thing with marketing. I'm making a prediction right now that in the next year, in 2025 and 2026, chiropractors are going to shift from hiring marketing agencies, because there's several of them that are going out of business right now, and marketing agencies are going to be less needed. Or you can already see that they're offering $495 a month to do everything for you. And I mean, used to, it was super expensive to get started. It'd be $4,500 just a setup fee. Now they're just asking for you to please take part in what they're doing, because they're going to be the next Blockbuster is what's going to happen. Marketing agencies are going to go away, and marketing is going to move in-house, which means that you need to be ready. You really need to be ready to move your marketing in-house, or you're going to need the people that may survive this storm are going to be the people who are the marketing agencies that have really turned into like a mentor, meaning like, we will take you on, we're going to charge you a lot of money, but we're going to also get you a lot of results, and they're going to be the gurus that are going to survive. There's not going to be very many of them, but there are going to be some. That's what I'm going to predict. So the reason I'm making this prediction is because the same thing needs to happen in your marketing. You need to predict things that are happening. Like I see this medication that's for low back pain, or I see it's for gut health, and I predict like it's going to go away. Like people are on this shot for losing weight, Ozempic. I predict that a lot of people are going to get sick. I mean, like that's something that we predicted when it happened, because we knew the side effects going into this. You could just look them up on Google and predict these things. So create some sort of prediction in your content that makes you credible, and give your rationale for why you are making that prediction. Because again, the middle of the funnel, and that's where the deepest part of your funnel needs to be. Like the top part of your funnel needs to be kind of shallow, and it's going to be shaped like this, obviously, but the top part's going to be pretty shallow. It's going to be like right here, and then the depth of it is going to be that middle of the funnel content that you're making. Me personally, 2 to 3 videos a week. That's where the depth is going to be, because it's going to provide that best hook. The hook up here is kind of to get them into that middle part. So don't think top part goes to bottom part anymore. That's traditional marketing. Mine is shaped like this. Top part hooks to the middle. Middle hooks to the bottom. That's what I want you to understand. So anyways, so if you need to make some changes in your marketing messages to make that happen, or if you need to create that middle content, middle of the funnel content, then get on it. And then the other things you need to do is you need to product or service changes. You might need to talk about things that are happening in your office, the reasons why you're doing things differently. So that's really what I want you to know. Let me see where we are. So some other truths. That's all how I approach my social media marketing. If there's ever, okay, here you go. If there's not enough happening in my life and business to inspire 80% of my content, I just look at that as a way of like, I'm not living my life the way. It's just an indicator. It's like an alarm going off saying I'm not living my life how I should. That means it's time for me to level up. It's time for me to just bring myself back to some sort of middle ground. But anyways, that's just for me. Hopefully just sharing that with you, it helps. The backup plan is keep an idea sheet. I already showed you what mine looked like. So whenever you think something sounds cool, that you could talk about, just add it to your list. Some ideas, I screwed up on this one big time when I started doing my own marketing. That's an idea that I could share with you. My top 5 takeaways from bringing my marketing in-house, that's an idea. So I could just roll with stuff like that. You could say any other ideas. This is for me being transparent to you. You can create things. I could show you things that I use to market to patients as well, or potential patients, I should say. Step 2, creation. If you manage to get hung up on if you manage not to get hung up on the idea part, which we've talked about, and use the strategy above that I talked about, and let your life and your business fuel your content, this is the next big hurdle people get caught up on, okay? This is the creation part, the key to success. The key to success here, again, like I said, is to reduce that friction as much as possible. And that's how you have the set, you have the style, you have the idea sheets, you have all this stuff in place as much as possible, because you want to reduce that friction, because you don't want to think about, oh, I got to create this piece of content, and you're like, oh crap, I'm going to put that off because I got to do this instead. You're going to look for excuses and find things to do instead and shove this to the side. So we have to reduce as much friction as possible. 90% again of my content is on a smartphone or a webcam, screen capture sometimes, but like I would say probably more than 90% of it's actually phone. The magic is in your content. It's not how fancy it is. That's another thing I want you to know is I'm going to talk more about this in the next step, where we're not talking about like the fancy editing and intros and outros and music and stuff like that. I want you to focus on making just your audio. If you're close enough to your phone and the audio is clear, that's all I care about. Make sure the lighting is kind of okay. Like this isn't the best lighting in the world. It's a rainy day, and I didn't set up my ring light, but who cares? You're looking at a screen and not necessarily my face. So, but the lighting needs to be good enough to see you properly, but don't let any of that. If you don't have a light, if you don't have a wireless mic, which I have now, but if you don't have that, don't let that stop you or slow you down. Create the content, get it out there. This is about making raw, authentic content that you can share. Think about this too, like right here. This is something that hit me. Your life, you would be the first to admit that your life isn't perfect. So why would you make your content perfect? That doesn't resonate with people. That's not real. It's not real life. So we want to be authentic. Okay. Now let's talk about video structure. I go over this a lot with people because a lot of chiropractors, and we shouldn't know how to do this because we weren't taught to do this, but we should have a hook. We should have a call to action. We should have a body, main points, like the problem that's associated with the hook, the solution that we can offer, and then like the future pacing. Then we could go back to the call to action again. So that's very simple. It's a very simple structure. I provide an outline. It's color coded. You know, the hook is going to be red. Call to action will be like blue. The problem will be pink, and then the solution will be, I think maybe, I can't remember what color it is, yellow, I can't remember, orange, and then the call to action again, and then sign off. So call to actions, my call to actions have changed over the years. I mean, there's been sales pages that we've used. I'll say, hey, book a call. I mean, you should probably know that if you want to book a strategy call. That's what we're going to do here. You can join a group. I have a ChiroInfluence Facebook group. If you want to join that, join my email list. Private message me. Now what I do is I say, watch my main video on my channel or my webinar below, because I just want to drive that content, that top of the funnel content, to the middle part, and the middle part to there, because I truly want the person at the bottom to be filtered out and to be my ideal person and not some tire kicker. So the most relevant call to action depends on your ecosystem. If you're just going top of the funnel, bottom of the funnel, and there's no middle, then you're going to have less filter. You're going to have less people knowing what you do and how you do it, and you're going to have to explain a lot when they come in, and you have to overcome objections, and you're going to have to sell really hard a lot of times, or you find yourself trying to do that if you use that type of system. Again, I talked about the Trojan horse call to action. Make these types of things second nature to your main product or service. I can go into detail, but you can just use your imagination on how to do that. Here's Sally. She had headaches for 10 years. She came in for the last 2 months, and now she has headaches. She's had 3 headaches since she's been in. But that's a Trojan horse style call to action. If you want to be our next Sally, click the link below, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon. Something like that. Or do something completely different that you can come up with. So let your ideas flow. That's what this whole video is. We're already over an hour. An example of a video that I made, I haven't put it out yet. So a video about how I save 10 hours a week using a virtual assistant. So I'm talking about, example of that, like because I use a virtual assistant, I'm talking about like how I could take 10 tasks my virtual assistant does each week, how I give her an SOP, and each day she does what she does to save me. She does A, B, and C every day to save me X, Y, and Z. But by the way, if you want the SOP, DM me the word SOP, and I'll hook you up with my virtual assistant. So that's an example. I'm not really selling that, but that's something that I did put a video out for a few of my clients, and it was more of a personal thing because they were struggling with trying to find some balance because they just didn't have the CA that was savvy enough to do some of this stuff for them. And these are very small teams. We're talking about 1 or 2 CAs and the doctor only. So it's like 2 to 3 person teams. So that's a video that I made. So anyways, it's not something that's for you, but I just wanted to show you an example of any piece of content that you can put out that's going to make somebody's life easier. And that's what your job is as a chiropractor, to make their life easier, to make it better. So we can do that from the standpoint of you to your patient, or from me to you. I hope you're seeing that. So the editing process, this is what I want you to know. My video content is barely edited. It takes me less than 5 minutes per video. I use an app that's on my phone. So once I'm done videoing, I add the captions. I trim the beginning just to take my finger from hitting the button off and hitting the button at the end. I trim that off. It's like taking a second, maybe a second and a half off. And then what I like to do is I speed myself up to 1.1 or 1.2 times as far as how fast the video goes, because I want to condense the video. Some of the times I find myself talking a little slower than I want to because I was reading it off the screen, but when I speed it up, it makes it actually look like, oh wow, he wasn't reading that. So that's what I like to do. By the time I get done with that, I hit save. I save it on my phone. Then I move it to Facebook, and my job is basically done after that. So Sorry, I was having like a little technical difficulty there, some pop-ups. So, like, sorry. So editing is a must in this model. I'm sorry, editing is not a must in this model. Some people don't mind their finger touching the button, their finger turning the button off. I mean, it doesn't have to be if it's not perfect. You know, idea is to keep your content lean and simple. There's a guy that I use as my mentor for content, and I wouldn't recommend him because I've paid a lot of money and I've had to just like pull out about 20% of what he does and use it for me, and I've had to translate it into our industry as chiropractic, so I don't recommend it. But he's from the UK, and his content is so lean and so simple. There are times where he'll be doing like a video like this one, and he'll say, hold on a second, and he'll set his laptop down, and he will go literally, like, he'll say, like, I got to grab some coffee, and I'm thinking he's going to go actually pour some coffee and come back, and he's gone for like 5 minutes, solid minutes, doesn't hit pause, doesn't, I mean, it's a live video, and he goes and makes coffee. It takes him 5.5 minutes, and he comes back and he goes, okay, where were we? So that's how lean his stuff is. But the funny thing is when you look, nobody leaves his channel. Nobody leaves his live webinar because he's so good at what he does. And that's what I'm talking about, is like, and I'm not saying you have to do that, or I'm not saying I'm capable of doing that, but what I'm trying to say is when your content is put out there, a lot of people, if they truly want you or need you or look at you like you are the source to getting them better, they will wait, or they will forgive you for some simple nuanced things that you don't do exactly perfect. So I just wanted to share that example. You know, there's some other people like out there that I personally can't watch their videos. Like I can't watch a lot of YouTube stuff because I hate that over editing stuff. It just drives me insane. So it annoys me. I prefer less fluff because, again, I'm a chiropractor. I'm not a YouTuber. So true story. If you know who Alex Hormozy is, great. If you don't, it's not a big deal. He's a pretty bright mind. He's been on the scene for a while, but I used to love watching everything that he put out. But after he would be in his style, in his original style, and he would be in this like his dungeon, and it wasn't too flashy, and like he would just make videos without too much editing. And then later on, he went to all this flashy editing, and because I knew him before and I know him now, I don't know him personally, but I followed him. I just don't like it, and so I don't watch his stuff anymore. It's just not authentic enough. It's just very flashy, and it just grabs your attention, and there's not any meat and potatoes in what he does. He does have a great product, but anyways, that's a different story. So I'm just trying to give some examples. Your ideal patients, again, there was this theory that they need jump cuts. They need all these things to reset their brain every 24 seconds and keep their attention. And there's some truth in that, but like you don't need it to get your videos to be consumed. I believe that you produce higher quality content without it because they're there for you. They're there for your message. They're there for your expertise, not because their brain needs to be triggered every 24 seconds. That's not why they came. They didn't come there thinking, okay, you need to trigger my brain every 24 seconds or I'm not watching this. I know there's science behind it. I get that, but they're coming there for you. They have a problem. You may have the solution, and that's why they're there. If you're going to do some really intense editing, front load it on the very beginning part of the video to hook people. That's it. And then as the video goes on, just let go of that, and just let it become more and more authentic, because you might want to draw them, suck them in, and then once you've got them, just let your stuff just be real. So I don't do any of that, but whatever. So it could increase watch time and retention, maybe even give you a little more help on the SEO side of things. But anyways, step 4 is publishing. Basic is real fine, is perfect. It's okay. You want to weave in a mix of your big ticket services. If you do neuropathy and you do soft wave and you do decompression, you want to have a weave or a mixture of your big ticket stuff. You don't want to just harp on one unless you just really, really want to drive that one and like shift your clinic towards that style of care. But attack the stuff specific to your method. Attract those ideal people and repel those tire kickers. You want to leverage other types of services people could try or maybe have already tried to maximize their interest and curiosity. So meaning like, hey, have you already tried physical therapy? Have you tried this? Have you tried those YouTube stretches? So like speak to people where they are, and probably this could be new to them. If this is new to you, if you never experienced this before, but you might be that person that's tried everything under the sun and nothing's helped, then you can go into that. So because we're creating content from things that happen in your business and in your life, make sure that it's relevant to them, not just you. Okay, when you come up with an idea, be like, oh my gosh, this is a great idea, but go, will other people think that this is actually something that they care about? So one of the biggest things that I want you to know is that taking your lenses of a chiropractor off and look at the lenses of your marketing, your own marketing content through the lenses of the consumer is a great way to start, because it's going to help you understand that it may be cool to us, but what matters most is it cool to them, because that's where you're going to make a difference because they're going to be the judge. Let them be the judge of whether they think it's cool or not, because that's where you're going to get the ROI, is if they think it's cool. If you think it's cool and you pat yourself on the back, it doesn't make you any money. It doesn't give you any like legacy. Nobody generates any curiosity. It's just something cool you put out. It doesn't matter. So step 5, we're almost done wrapping things up. Step 5 is the initial distribution. Pump it out to every possible touch point where you can launder people through your funnel. So if you got YouTube, if you have Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is, if you like TikTok, I'm not a TikTok person, just me. Get them on that top level of funnel, watching your videos. Example, post it on your personal Facebook or Instagram first with the link to the call to action. Create a paid ad on Facebook or Instagram. Target or retarget your old leads with your CRM or EHR. Maybe even blast it out to your patient base, messaging, and use it and say, hey, look, I know you guys have been a great patient, and we love having you in our practice. If you know anybody that's suffering with headaches, here's a video that I made. You could share it with them. I would appreciate it, because we're really wanting to do better at helping people eliminate headaches in our community. Could you help us out? Get them to be part of your cause. So it doesn't have to just be Facebook and Instagram. It can be retargeting old people that didn't sign up into care. It could be people who used to be a patient and they just kind of dropped off the face of the earth, and it can be your active patients as well. So inactive or active patients. Step 6 is repurposing in the future. Send emails with older videos. This is meaning like you have old content. I showed you that very, very, very old, one of my first videos that I ever made. You could repurpose that. If you find that it's relevant, you can say, here's a video that I made 6 years ago, and it's still relevant today, and I wanted you to watch this because it actually reminded me of a situation that you had. You could send that out individually, or you could send it out and say, here's a video I made 6 years ago, and I wanted to share it with you because it's still relevant today. There's a lot of medicines out there that are not even on the market anymore that work to help with this back pain or this neuropathy or whatever. And I just wanted to show you how still relevant our message is even after the last 6 years. Something like that. So you can repurpose old stuff, so you don't think that once it's old you just throw it in the trash. You want to save it because you want that time capsule to see how relevant things might still be, because that also gives you some sort of like credibility as to how long you've been around and in this industry. You can show old videos. You can use it as B-roll footage. Look, I've been doing this a long time. Here's a video of me 6 years talking about the same thing that I'm talking about right now. That's how relevant this still is. And then, you could keep going. So again, if a client has a question that one of your old videos solves, send them that old video, or have maybe your CA do that, or your marketing person. Step 7, leveraging in sales conversations. You use your videos or create videos to save yourself time in giving solutions. So, during a sales call, proof that your product solves a problem. Like if you're like, I know you don't have to do sales calls like I do, but like if you do this like at a computer with an ROF and you have like an example, x-ray example or some example or some sort of video that shows proof of this, show it. Use it to answer questions. Use it to share client stories. Like I use this one a lot when I have somebody that has a surgery, a lower back fusion surgery. My 7th grade teacher came in after surgery, had a 3-level fusion, L345, and we still did decompression. We still soft wave. We did all the things that we could do because we were limited as to how much we could adjust in that area, but we adjusted her around that area. And so when someone says, well, I've had so much surgery, you probably can't help me, I just go to her x-ray and I said, like, I tell her story. And so if you have client stories, they're perfect to use in your videos. So get permission from these patients to share those stories. Maybe get them to sign off on using it as a social media advertisement. Maybe you could get them to help you do like a testimonial. But I prefer a testimonial that you use as B-roll footage, not as a boring piece of testimonial. So you can get into that, and I can explain details on how we use testimonials in our marketing. But you can break down parts of your process of how you treat patients, how you care for patients. Break down your entire process if you choose to. I don't like that idea. I've already shown you my entire funnel, so I kind of did break it down in a way. I just kind of gave an overview. This video is already an hour and 20 minutes, so I don't want to go too long. But you can break down your offer. You can break down or share your backstory, where you came from. Like, I haven't always, my first 4 years of chiropractic, I was just adjusting people. And I say just adjusting, like that's something that's bad. But there was people who didn't respond all the way to that. So that's when I started offering things like decompression. Other things later on, like CBP. Then, other techniques or other niche services that could be valuable to my community. So break down like your backstory, why you started sharing this niche. Break down your vision or your plan for the future, what you plan on doing to help your community. Last thing, I believe, is step 8 is your outsourcing roadmap. Number 1, and this is to marketing. Level 1, this is where a lot of people think. When I try to bring someone on as a client, they're like, oh gosh, I got to do all this myself. And that's their first hurdle. And yeah, you can do it all yourself. That's what I did. And I'm just that type of person though. I did it all. And then I got to level 2 where I delegated. I found a savvy team member to help me do it. And then I just gave her all the reins to that. I just created the content and then I just handed it over. Level 3, you could get to where you hire a VA to do your editing, your posting, your follow-up. And all you got to do, maybe have your VA say, here's the script. I edited it to exactly what you wanted me to say. Download it into your app, read it off the screen, stop the video, send it back to me, and then they'll do all the editing and all the follow-up. So literally your video content could cost you about 5 minutes of a day, or a month or a week, depending on how much you're wanting to put out. So there's additional tricks, tips, and resources on how to present, speak, and communicate in your marketing so that it impacts and creates this rapport and generates sales. Sometimes it's going to feel light and easy. Sometimes it's going to feel really heavy to you. So when it does feel heavy, that's when you should reach out to someone and say, hey, how do I reduce the friction here? How do I take the weight or the burden off of this to make sure that I'm not neglecting this or don't want to do it? Because that does happen. So one of the first things I start with, excuse me, is make sure that you're not overcomplicating things. Done is better than perfect all the time. So right there, that's a motto that you should live by. Get it done, get it out. If you find some imperfections in the one that you just put out, fix it in the next one. Just learn and grow. Same thing that you happened in your chiropractic practice. You weren't where you are today 10 years ago or 5 years ago when you started. So it's okay, again, to weave content in that won't do well with the algorithm. At least it's going to create rapport with your audience. So this is where I'm going to leave you. Learn to love the ride, because again, if you decide you want to go this route, it is going to be a long one, and you have to buy into that. But it's not hard. It's actually easier because there's less confusion, there's more confidence, there's more clarity on where you're going and what you're building. You built a practice. You're going to build your practice through building marketing, and it's going to get better like a fine wine over time, and not get worse to where you have to fire the agency and hire a new one, like what's been happening over the last 8 to 10 years. So don't be shy about the fact that you have products or services to sell. Transparency helps. Make regular calls to action. Off the cuff calls to action help, and they work well too. So again, off the cuff would be like something like what I said, like, look, I know you've been here an hour and 25 minutes. You wouldn't be here if you didn't think that this was a little bit interesting or something that you needed to learn. So if you want to learn more about this, I've just barely scratched the surface of what's going on in my world. So if you want to learn more, get a hold of me. Let's do a call, and let's talk about what you've tried and what you want to see happen in your world. This isn't to me. This is to you. Commit to yourself for 2 years minimum. Sign a contract with yourself if you have to. 2 years minimum, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to make it work. And you're going to see the fruits of your labor happen. So again, think of your whole piece, your whole content, all of your content as a whole being your time capsule. Imagine looking back in 5 or 10 years and seeing how far you've come. So that's where I wanted to leave you. That's all I have. If you do want to reach out and you want to talk a little bit about your marketing, what you've tried, what you've done in the past, that's why I'm here. So I hope you found this valuable. If not, I'm sorry I wasted an hour and a half of your time, but I kind of feel like you wouldn't be here if that was the case. So again, reach out to me. You can find a number. You can email me at chiroinfluence at gmail.com, and we can set up a time to meet. All right. Have a great day.